Yo, what is up, my Nakama? So my name is Daniel and I'm a first year medical student, and in this video we're going to talk about how to lose weight in medical school. Now, although I'm personally in medical school, I think that the advice I'm going to give in this video applies to anyone with a busy lifestyle. So whether you're in university or you have a really busy full-time job, the advice that I'm going to give is going to directly apply to you. One of the things that I think a lot of people get caught up in is like the fitness industry and fitness YouTubers. And you have to realize it's their job to be fit and they have all day to work out. But for people like us who are in medical school or university, we don't have all the time in the world to focus on our physical fitness and exercises. And a lot of the times it can be really challenging to find time during the day to even work out. So that's why the advice I'm going to give you is going to pertain to people like me and people like yourself if you're tuning in. And hopefully we can all get the gains together. All right, so I'm going to give 5 of my best tips for weight loss. And starting with number 1, and it's pretty obvious, but you have to be in a caloric deficit. Now there are really 2 ways of being in a caloric deficit. One is either you just eat less and work out the same. And the second way, which is my preferred method, is to eat the same that I'm currently eating, but work out more. And what I mean by this is essentially do more cardio. So a lot of people are worried that, cardio is gonna hurt their gains, but as long as you're doing enough resistance training, and resistance training as in an equal load to what you've been doing previously, then you're not gonna really lose that much muscle while cutting down. So I really like to eat a lot. I mean, eating is one of my favorite things to do. That's why I was a little bit chubby before, but I've lost that weight. Anyways, I still like to eat a lot during the day. Rather than cutting down my calories significantly, I just incorporate more cardio throughout the week so that my total caloric expenditure is greater than my caloric intake. So on a week-to-week basis, I am overall losing weight if weight loss is my goal, which actually it currently is. And I'm actually down about 6 pounds in 2 weeks, which is a lot, but granted, at first it was a lot of water weight. And now it's kind of gonna taper off as I start to actually cut down on fat. And personally, the reason I'm trying to lose weight is because calisthenics is a lot easier to do at a lower body weight. And the greater sort of muscle mass to body weight ratio you have, the easier it is to execute a lot of these difficult calisthenics movements. So I'm not doing it really because of health reasons currently. I mean, I'm sitting at a pretty comfortable weight right now, but I would like to cut down so that I can master some of these more difficult movements in the future. Now, the second tip I have is to make a workout schedule and be consistent and follow it. So the number 1 complaint or excuse I see from people who live a really busy lifestyle is that they just don't have time to work out. They come home at 5 or 6 and they feel like they don't have enough time for the rest of the day. But if you had the mental fortitude, if you're really dedicated, of course you have the time of day. And also at the same time, a lot of people, they go to the gym and they waste 3 or 4 hours in the gym because they're checking their phone, they're talking, they don't even know what exercises to do next. So they go on the internet and search the best exercises to do. But you gotta go in with a game plan, because maximum I spend about an hour and a half at the gym. And this is really all the time you need to get a sufficient resistance or cardio-based workout. So by going in with a plan and writing down the exact number of exercises and reps and sets that you're gonna do each time you go, you're gonna be really efficient and you're gonna be able to watch your progress too, because let's say yesterday you wrote down that you did 5 sets of 10 push-ups. Since you recorded that, then the following day you could do 5 sets of 11 push-ups. And this is just a great way to monitor your progress, and it's a good way to really save time and be efficient in the actual gym time. All right, and moving on to tip number 3, and it's to focus a lot more on resistance training and building muscle mass. So a lot of people, they'll spend 45 minutes to an hour on some cardio machine or some elliptical, and they don't even train any sort of resistance training. They're not building any muscle mass. And I advise against this because 1, you're gonna waste a lot of time just doing a 45-minute elliptical when you could be doing 45 minutes of resistance training, and you'll be seeing a lot more sort of lean gains, and you'll actually notice that losing weight is a lot easier the more muscle mass you have. So having more muscle mass increases your basal metabolic rate, meaning that your body is gonna need to produce more energy in order to sustain your growing muscles. So by training resistance training, it'll be a lot easier to cut weight because the more muscle mass you have, the more you need to eat, obviously, but as long as you're cutting, then you're going to be cutting at a faster rate than someone who's just very fat, for example, but doesn't have much muscle on them. So with this in mind, I would highly recommend incorporating some sort of resistance training, whether that's through weightlifting or calisthenics, into your current regime. And of course, I'm all for cardio, and I personally love cardio myself. Currently, I'm actually trying to challenge myself and see if I can run a sub 5-minute mile in the next year. But I do kind of keep cardio a little bit to a minimum compared to my resistance training. And that's because that's just what my current goals are. I really want to master and train calisthenics. And for me, running like a 10-mile race isn't as important as being able to do a freestanding handstand push-up. That's a super difficult move, but maybe one day I'll get it. All right, tip number 4 is to cut out all cereal and only drink water. Now, why am I saying this? It's because cereal is like a cake bomb in the morning. There's so much sugar and so much carbs in cereal that it's just gonna destroy your gains and you're gonna get fat. Now, obviously you can have cereal once in a while, you don't have to completely cut it out from your life, but a lot of people start off the day with cereal and whole milk because that's a quick and easy breakfast to make. And if you're someone with a busy schedule, it's kind of like an easy go-to meal. But I would highly recommend to stay away from this and a bunch of other processed sugary foods. And also just stick to water. I mean, just try for 2 months to drink nothing but water. So no juices, no soda. Obviously like teas and coffees are fine. Just try not to add sugar into them. Because if you are trying to be serious about losing weight, then take what you're consuming seriously as well. Because the most efficient way to lose weight is obviously to cut out all sorts of processed and unnatural products that usually involve a lot of sugar and fats in them. And a personal rule that I kind of have is I do like soda. I love Coca-Cola. And the only time I usually drink Coke is, let's say, like on my birthday or on some major event, or when I like to really do it is like on flights. So I don't fly out that often, maybe once every couple months. So on that flight, I'll ask the flight attendant for like a Coke, and that's kind of like my little reward for not having drink and soda for a while. But otherwise, for 95% of the year, I'm drinking good old water. Now, the reason I actually brought up cereal was because one of my clinical skills coaches, who's an endocrinologist, brought up an interesting sort of fact she noticed that no matter what type of cereal her patients were eating, whether it was like one of those healthy cereals or the like Frosted Flakes, which is just loaded with sugar, she noticed that all of her patients always had significant insulin and glucose spikes, no matter what type of cereal they were eating. And it's just because, this is like a processed sugary food. So bottom of the line, stay away from cereal. My 5th and final tip, and probably my most important one, is to consider trying intermittent fasting. Now, I'm not someone who wants to force anyone to like do a certain diet, because a lot of diets are just fads, especially the keto diet. Never do the keto diet. That is an awful, unsustainable diet. But intermittent fasting, I don't consider too much of a diet. It's more of the time of day that you eat rather than what you eat. Generally, I recommend eating sort of kind of like a Mediterranean diet, things with healthy fats, a lot of fruits, vegetables. And if you want to make your protein source plant-based, I highly recommend that. What I'm trying to do actually is only limit my meat consumption to once a day, if not every other day, and substituting a lot of my meat with a lot of plant-based proteins. Because in the end, I think that's just going to be a lot healthier, both for our own self and also for the environment. But intermittent fasting, I'm a huge proponent of intermittent fasting. I personally have been intermittent fasting for almost 3 years now, and I think it's extremely useful for 2 reasons. One is if you live a really busy lifestyle or have a busy work or study schedule, then I think intermittent fasting can be really beneficial in that cause, because it allows you to kind of wake up in the morning and do a lot of work without having to worry about eating breakfast or preparing any meals. If you have a 8-hour feeding schedule where your first meal is at noon and your last meal is at 8 p.m. So, it's because I only have 2 meals during the day, that's kind of less time that I have to spend eating if it were 3 meals. And also by meal prepping those meals on Sunday before the week, throughout the entire week, I don't have to worry about any of my meals at all. It's just a quick like 20-minute meal, and it's very efficient that way. But yeah, I'm a huge proponent of intermittent fasting, especially for people who have super busy schedules. And the second reason why I like intermittent fasting is because I noticed the best effects of intermittent fasting when I weighed a lot. So when I was like 260, 270 pounds a few years ago, and I first started intermittent fasting, my results were incredible. And I don't know if, obviously it was because I did a lot of things. I completely changed my diet. I started to exercise a lot more. But I do think intermittent fasting played a significant role in my weight loss journey as well. And there are a few studies citing a lot of immunological benefits. And I think there's a lot of benefits if you treat the intermittent fasting schedule seriously and stick to it for a while. I think you will notice a lot of results, especially the more you weigh. I think it will have greater effects because currently I just kind of do intermittent fasting because I'm used to it and it fits my work schedule. I wouldn't say I have to do intermittent fasting right now in order to lose weight, but it is a tool in my box that I'm able to use if I did want to lose a significant amount of weight. But yeah, I would recommend trying intermittent fasting. I think it's a great way to lose weight, and I think it's a great way to structure when you eat throughout the day. So yeah, that's pretty much how I go about losing weight in medical school or just in any scenario in general. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about my tips or about how I work out or how I structure workouts, just feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, Dattebayo.